Is your phone on mute?
The
We don't
phone,
need anyone disturbing us
phone is
in the
on
shadow
mute.
realm.
Phone is
Phone's on mute.
Yeah.
Did you? And this is the most important one. I never want to forget it. Is did you check the windows? Are they closed? Are the vents turned off? Is your AC off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Yeah. But I feel like
you're
they're mowing the lawn in the rain outside, so I don't know what's
this
going with
that what type of weird imagery are you trying to convey to me right now?
I'm just telling you what I feel.
And okay. Lastly, and most importantly, are there any other humans in the apartment? Any other species
I hope not at this point.
homunculi of sorts?
I hope not at this point.
Awesome. If so, you can just tell them to shut the fuck up.
Noted. All right, and thank y'all for tuning in. This is Brother Sip and talk shit. I guarantee you will never get that on point. What you sipping on today?
I've got my to-go ready-made coffee, instant. I know what you guys are thinking. How dare you call yourself a coffee Nazi and you drink instant? And I say, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm an addict. I never said I was a Nazi. This is an addiction.
I'm drinking Cafe Bustelo for the day. I'm trying to keep it as funky as I can for the Puerto Rico half. So I'm T, and I'd rather watch Jason X over The Notebook any day of the week.
And I'm V, and my favorite director wins an Oscar on his third film.
We're back here, and today we are going to review what I like to call V's first actual scary movie, and this is the BaBaDook.
I believe you want to say that again.
The BaBaDook, Duke. No, did I say it proper that
There,
time?
yes, that was good pronunciation that last time.
I don't want to cheat him out. The man is there. So first, we're gonna start off with a quick 1 minute recap of what this movie is about. Since I picked it, I'll start. BaBaDook, in so many words, is a movie about a widowed mother and her child who's bad as fuck, who find a book that starts telling the story of a creature called the BaBaDook, and they're scared about letting this creature in. At first, they think it's fake, and the sun is just wilding out, and it slowly dwindles out that they find out that this creature is real and starts terrorizing the hell out of them. It's very interesting, very crazy. It's actually like metaphors for a whole bunch of other stuff. It's a newer brand horror film by Jennifer Kent. She's only done a couple other movies, but she acted and was executive director on a couple other things. It came out in 2014, and honestly, to a lot of people, it's actually one of the best movies of the 2010 so far. So it's all about how people look at it, how people it is. And what do you think about it in Take? How would you describe it?
I'd say it definitely is a foreign film, because this is an Australian film, which was
Aussie.
funny.
Yeah.
These subtitles were 100% necessary. I had no idea what they were saying for the first 10 minutes. I think that it definitely is fun, and it plays on, I believe I use this term, and I could be completely wrong, but who cares? I believe it plays on the Leviathan theory, that they never show the final what this creature looks like, so your imagination is able to run wild on how,
Right.
obscure and crazy is, which I'm a huge fan of the Leviathan theory. That could also be a theory that dictators use in ancient Europe, but I don't know. Let's just call it the Leviathan theory for now.
I'm gonna let you start off because this one's easy for me. I loved it. When I first saw it, it came out on Netflix a while back. I was like, let me go ahead and check this shit out, and I was like, okay, that was actually got me a little bit concerned about turning the lights off. Darkness is actually a factor again. That shit was pretty crazy. So before we get to talking about it, since you don't watch scary movies, how real was that? Did that shit have you turn on the lights, and then how did you leave it?
I'd say that what stuck out most to me was some of the audio triggers less than the visual ones. Mm-hmm. Because again, your imagination is running wild, because there's a lot of those visuals that are going hidden, and I'm just thinking of moments, which shout outs to them obeying the rules and the BaBaDook makes a house call. Like I didn't even know mythical,
Yeah,
demons can make house
he
calls.
definitely say, "Yo, what's up?" He's like,
He just to be like just to call,
Duke,
say
Duke,
his
Duke.
name, and then hang up. Like that is beautiful, beautiful rule of horror. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that yeah, I the night that I went to sleep, it wasn't too bad because I double featured our films this week, which I think helped out. But like last night and the night after that was very rough. I had to put some additional television on to cope. Like and again the name keeps just like kept on like ringing in my mind.
Right?
Um yeah, I don't know why.
Because it's
But
excellent. Creepy.
loved the character design. Yeah, he was like an amazing character design. I think the other reason why I've started to enjoy this film was just the pure like you remember you talking about like low budget like indie style films. It definitely has that vibe for a horror film,
Right.
but yet small cast. Like there really isn't that many characters, and then phenomenal child actors. I don't know what it is with
Yeah.
like
that
with
it's
foreign
crazy.
films are so good at like getting child actors that like run this shit.
That movie when I first saw it. Now this is like I don't know what view you had it when I first saw it. For the first half of the movie, I was like, this is the most insufferable, worst child ever in the history of fucking film. Why do Australian parents not beat the shit out of their kids? This motherfucker is just creating weapons, shooting darts in school, just all types of yelling and screaming for no reason. Halfway through the movie, once we realize that BaBaDook is there, you realize this motherfucker's been stressed for God knows how many years. I feel so sorry for this kid. Somebody get him a good night rest, get him a hotel room somewhere else, let him just chill out and relax. I'm stressed as shit for 6 years and some change. I was like, man, that is too much. That's too much.
Yeah, this kid was what pushing his little cousin out of tree houses,
But
busting her shits. Like
but in retrospect, like at first you're like he's just a shitty kid. Later on, you're just like, oh, okay, I get it. Like nobody wants to believe that they got problems, this, that, and the third. So let's talk about the underlying meanings of the movie. First and foremost, interesting enough, it wasn't on purpose. She made the name of the creature. Jennifer Kent made the name of the creature, the BaBaDook, so something easy that a kid could make up. But ironically,
I think you want to say that again.
no, they made it. She made it.
No, I mean Baba
Duke.
Duke.
I apologize.
Don't disrespect, bro.
Obviously,
Do
can't
not disrespect.
Gotta respect the man on the way he goes with his knocking. It actually translates in Hebrew to "He is coming for sure." Like what kind of shit is
Wait,
that?
that's the Hebrew. That's Hebrew.
He's like he's coming
Nah.
for sure. Like just like that.
That's crazy.
That shit is the wildest. And it wasn't on purpose though. It was an accidental shit. Like she just created the name, and then it just ironically happened to be "He is coming for sure." Like that is so wild to me. I was like, yeah, that sounds like what's up. So the film was actually around grief and depression, which is real important. How that shit ended up manifesting and all that ended up being real crazy to me.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the husband who passed.
Yeah, so a big feature of this is that the husband, which she's widowed because her husband had passed, and it's shown in the beginning of the film in a really artistic way. They do a really good like this art house style of almost like a fully empty black background, and she drops from the car accident into her bed, and it's a very dream sequency ass thing going on, and the husband actually died while they were on the way to the hospital for her to give birth to the kid. This is caused like issues with the mother and the kid. Like it's clear that she hates the kid and she misses the husband, and the kid is a constant reminder of her husband that isn't there. And you could see it in every single action. It is like she's just so tired of the kid. She oversleeps. At a certain point, she stops feeding the kid on time. She's exhausted by his like existence alone is just too much. He's bad, and she just doesn't know what the fuck to do with it. She's like, I just don't know. It's too much. Like always making excuses for it, and you could tell like she'd rather just lock the door and just be like, can this motherfucker just leave me alone for like an hour? You could tell how nails on the chalkboard this child is on every second, because there's one scene earlier on where she cracks out a vibrator after she's watched some TV, and she's seeing couples on TV, and it's reminding her of her husband, and she's trying to get one off, so she just slips into bed, slips on the covers, grabs little vibrators, is working towards there. She's about to reach the precipice of her shit, and mom! Kid runs through, fucking bangs through the door, hops in the bed, and I was like, oh man, he done fucked up her nut. I was like, she has no peace. If you can't get a nut off in peace, you have no peace in life. No peace in life. No peace. No peace. An action that can take 2 minutes. If you can't have peace for that, you don't have any peace at all in life. So,
yeah,
crazy.
I think there was a moment in this film where I thought it was just insomnia and she was just losing her mind, and I thought there's kind of like 3 transitions I would say in this film that were pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is one when you're talking about like the misery and grief, is like you have this man, this kid's just making this up. He's a fucking dickhead. Like, I hate children. Then it's like, oh, this mom can't sleep. She's losing her mind.
Mm-hmm.
She's going crazy. Then it was like, nah, this motherfucker's real. He's fucking shit up. Y'all fucked up. Like, so I thought it was like, and it almost seems like the director chose to cheat, like put the film into 3 acts and use those kind of like lenses, viewed from the lens of this child's terrible, viewed from the lens of this mother is like having emotional and mental breakdowns, has no sleep, to no, this is a very real problem that now the mother and child need to figure out how to work together to solve, you know?
So do you think Mr. Duke was real?
It seems like it.
I don't, and I'm gonna tell you why. So,
this is, I wanted to clarify the ending because I was like, it seems like it.
So
I would say yes.
There's a whole bunch.
It's very real.
There's a whole bunch of things that go around. People believe whether it's real or not. I think it's kind of open to interpretation, but she's very clear. She's very clear about some stuff, not necessarily 100% of it. So I think that the BaBaDook may be more of a manifestation of something inside of her. But I also don't think that BaBaDook is real in a lot of ways. I think you're right with the insomnia, but I also think that she's having scenes that she's actually experiencing sleep paralysis. And I think that when she actually sees that physical manifestation is when she can't necessarily control her mind when she's asleep. Now, you see that when she's laying on a bed, she sees the BaBaDook, or you see it when a whole bunch of crazy stuff is going on, but she's just sitting there and watching TV before and after the scene happens. So I think that a lot of this is sort of like a sleep paralysis, and when she's acting as almost like she's sleepwalking. And we'll call it like when she's sleepwalking is when she becomes more or less the BaBaDook. I think in the beginning of the film, you get the perspective of her in the waking life. So she seems all stressed and everything like that, and you're trying to figure out why this kid is so bad and why the kid is already talking about getting.
So you think the mother has a split personality, essentially?
Yeah, again,
is that a running theory?
Almost bipolar, because because what happens is once it flips halfway through the film and the BaBaDook is let in, it's also letting us in to see what the kid has been seeing all this time. So then you start seeing why the kid is stressed, because all the nastiness that she's showing this kid and why this kid is always talking about, even as bad, when he was bad as shit, he was like, Mom, I love you. Mom, I want to protect you. Mom, I'll take care of the monster. Like, he's already known the monster before we have. You get what I'm saying? She made the monster by that. Another thing is, like, if you look at her hands are dirty when she's on the phone with the BaBaDook. And that's an implication that she wrote the book. She wrote the BaBaDook book. That's ink on her hands. Ooh. And that's why her hands were so dirty. And that also explains like how she was always so tired but always in bed. You get what I'm saying? Because she'd wake up at 11 p.m., but when you saw her before that, she was up all night. So how is she so exhausted? You like, how is she so exhausted, but still so many things happen?
She's got the worst circadian rhythm I've ever seen in movie history.
Ever and forever, bro.
She woke up at like 7 a.m., then she woke up at like 9, then she woke up at 11, and then she was up all night. Like, it's like, oh, this is horrible.
This is the life. When you got a moonlight as the BaBaDook, you got to make this shit work.
I could see that. I think one thing I wanted to just go back on before we lose that moment was the BaBaDook book was a huge shout out to horror tropes. finding this mysterious book that came from nowhere,
Right.
that has some mysterious powers, to trying to throw it away, it comes back, then you have to destroy it.
Right.
And it was very, probably one of my favorite visuals was just this like little pop-up book.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that shit's
it
creepy
was
as hell.
extremely well drawn out. It has this nice, like, very Sharpie red cover with just black lettering of the BaBaDook Duke Duke on the front, and then inside it's just like charcoal only, which makes sense to your point of she's got these like dirty hands, because yeah, it's the charcoal like with the sketch pad. So that, like, the visual of that book was pretty awesome. Like, one of the super cool visual stuff I liked.
Right. I think that BaBaDook is more than ready to be a new Freddy, a new Jason. He isn't coming back. She's only doing one, which I think is great. But the visuals that you have in him are just great. I think his creepiness altogether is perfect. I think another thing that I just wanted to point out is that her association with the husband's stuff that was in the basement, and her attachment to the stuff, and she never wanted the son to touch the stuff and play with the stuff, and the value she had on his clothes, and the value that she had on like that violin that she was holding and sleeping with that she wouldn't even let the son touch. All this stuff that she values is just these things that she can't let go of from her husband. And it's
But see, I like the concept more of like, no, the BaBaDook uses your weaknesses as his strengths type. Like, the reason why there's an association to these things is because he'll find you at a weakened point through these things, and that's why he is associated with like the husband loosely throughout the film, and saying that he's in the basement. The only thing that shoots a tons of fucking holes in my theory is the ending, which
the ending is probably the most difficult part to try to figure out.
Yeah, where it's like why don't you set up the ending, and then let's talk about it.
So they end up going through, and finally the biggest thing is about letting the BaBaDook actually in, and she finally lets him in, and it more or less looks like as if it's possessing the mother. In my eyes, it looks like this is how the mother acts, that has this kid acting stressed and all this way all the time. That this is her bipolar actions, her sleepless nights where she's just spazzing. She ends up killing their dog. There's cockroaches everywhere. She's chasing the son around, and she goes back down to the basement, which again is very important, this basement. And the BaBaDook takes the form of her husband and says basically, kill the son so he could be with me, and then we could all be together. So we just all kill yourself, and we all get together. And it drives that. And there's this struggle that goes on where the mother is almost fighting this possession, quote unquote, the BaBaDook. It comes out at her, and then she doesn't beat the BaBaDook. A big thing that the kid says is you can't get rid of the BaBaDook. He has to stay around. Like, once he's here, he's here. The thing that seems to happen is she depowers the BaBaDook. She yells at the BaBaDook, tells him that he's not welcome, that he can't have her life, and it almost shrinks him down to just a set of clothes. And the clothes just fall on the ground. And it's shown that, I think, that she gave all these things too much power, like the clothes, the stuff from her husband. She gave all that stuff power because she wouldn't let go of the grief. When she finally let go of some of that depression, and I think she depowered the BaBaDook in a sense. You get what I'm saying? She gave up on that, dropped it, put it down, walked away, and then the movie proceeds that the kid celebrates his birthday, which is the first birthday that he actually celebrates, because it always fell on the death of the husband, so she always celebrated it on like one of his cousin's birthdays. And this is the first time he's celebrating the birthday. They go and they're playing around. DFAX was there getting ready to take the kid away, but everything looks like it's cool. And she sends the kid outside to have this birthday party by himself, and so she can go downstairs and deal with the BaBaDook. And they come and bring him a bowl full of worms, and there's this almost little confrontation where she kind of gets tossed around, and it looks like she's gonna be like almost taken by the BaBaDook again, but it kind of subsides, ends up taking the thing of worms, and she ends up leaving. The wildest part of the ending is not that,
and that's where it's kind of like, nah, I see what you're saying with like maybe it is just this monster within her, but I feel like Nah, like this thing's definitely like hovering her over the ground
But
in a very supernatural fashion.
that's
Like,
grief and depression is hovering over it.
yeah.
Like she's not. The reason why she's doing that, I think, in my eyes, the reason why she's doing that is that she's going down to the basement for a good old fashioned cry and scream session, and she's not letting the son into it. The entire movie, she spends never discussing it, never talking about it. Right before she goes down there and the DFAX people are there, she actually says, it's his birthday. He was born the same day that my husband died, and that was the first time she was actually able to say it and talk about it in the entire movie. And that's 7 years in, which number 7 is typically the number for like completion. So 7 years of repression. She finally goes down there and she says it. And the reason why she's down there and she's so twisted and everything like that is she's going down there and have a good ass motherfucking cry. She has never had any emotional output in there that was necessary to grieve. She went down there and grieved, and the son asked, "How was it today?" And she said, "It was quiet." That meant she might have just had a quiet cry. You get what I'm saying?
I think that I believe your theory because of the ending. If you erase the last like 3 minutes of the film, I feel like it could have gone either way.
But the last minute of the film makes that shit even more confusing, because how the fuck did that kid make a dove appear?
Oh, because he's got the sleight of hand, bro.
Where
This
the
a mission.
fuck does this kid get doves?
He's a magician, bro. Sleight of hand.
Now, see, I don't even. Yeah, right. So, like, there's some people that think that when the very last thing they're fighting the BaBaDook, the son says, "Mom, don't do it." When she seems like she's going towards the BaBaDook one last time before this big huge flash of light comes, and then we get to the ending sequence. Some people think that she was still in like that sleep paralysis and killed the kid, and she's just living delusional, and the BaBaDook is making that thing. That's why he was able to make a dove out of nowhere. And the thing that's really down in the basement is the kid, and that's why they're feeding him worms.
Oh my! Oh, because he's dead.
No, the kid's not dead. The kid's trapped in the basement.
Oh my lord, that is such a dark ending.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
that is even more like, jeez, that's heavy. But I think it brings a good point of like, this particular film has a lot of like interesting interpretation. I can see why it got a lot of hype. So why don't you start us off with my 3 questions for you today? Is going to be, you got to edit all that shit out. What is the one thing? I would always call my shit out. Notorious for it. What is the one thing in this film that you found the most unrealistic? And I asked that because this was a really good film. So I wanted to just get your thought on a flaw in the film.
The dove. The goddamn dove. If no one explains the damn dove to me, I need answers. That kid ain't have no dove. The mother went and had to buy him a dove. Would he just find a dove? Go get me a dove right now. Go ahead, V, find me a dove. Give me a dove.
Doves are difficult to find.
You can't just get a 7-year-old
perhaps.
Just get a dove on the fly.
I don't even know where to. I don't think they're available at Petco. I feel like this is. I need a specialty store.
It's the damn
for
dove.
Doves.
It's the damn dove.
You can't mail order doves. That doesn't make any sense.
I hope
there's a dove farmer. Like there's just is there some chicken farmer out there or some like bee farmer that just has a dove shack next to it?
Somebody has a dove shack in a studio apartment in New York City right now. You can mail order a dove. You probably got to go someplace to get it. But I don't think that 7-year-old got the mail order dove. I don't believe you.
Okay.
Maybe the old lady next door.
What was your favorite scary moment? That's number 2 question for you. And then lastly, just give me your review and then flow it right into your review afterwards.
So out of all the ones that stuck with me, the one that I remember the most, it's actually a mix of 2. I really love that old interpolation of that old ass 1920s black and white film where you see the BaBaDook kind of introduced in that way, and it's kind of interpolated with this old film style. But really, like the one that got me the first time was when she was looking at the old lady that lived next door, who was able to deal with like being a widow and everything like that, and saw her, and then she looked and saw the roaches and looked back up, and BaBaDook was chilling in the background like he's doing the jailhouse pose, like BaBaDook Dook Dook. I was like, ooh, okay, all right, that was a goodie because it was so good, and the film played really well into shadows, and I don't want to discount it, and I gotta say that its work with shadows was amazing, and the fact that whole home was like painted this dark, dull, lifeless gray. The movie didn't get any color into the end when all the happy birthday decorations came out. It's crazy. If you look at it again, you understand it's so dark and drab and gloomy.
Again, and I think that's what like that using shadows to scare people is a lot harder. Like it sounds like it'd be easy in a horror film, but I feel like executed well, it's very tough. And I think that the director, and I think a lot of his director was really, really good at cinematography, and is able to make these shadowy things. And it's shadowy things that are normally in people's houses, which I think that's where people get so scared from.
Like
that's why it's so scareful.
The clothes hanging it's just behind like, the police officer, the stuff in the closet, just the like when you take everyday things, like everybody's had that when you're a kid. You wake up and you look and some shit in the corner and be like, is that a ghoul or a goblin? And then like you're scared as hell.
Is that a person?
Exactly.
Like and
then
it's that
like
animal.
It's a piece
if you're in the woods, like you're in the woods, like, and I think that's something that the only reason why horror movies work is because we are fearful creatures. Like we have negative bias to make us survive. And one of the things in modern times that I think like is just things around the house that just catch you off guard, even though when you're in your own house, like is something that oddly enough is relatable. But it's really tough to make literally she just made like a jacket hanging on
horrifying.
Just hanging up on the wall, horrifying. Which I was like, wow, that's really, really good. Like just a jacket hanging there, genius. So then, last thing is review time.
So real quick, I think BaBaDook is an excellent film. If you haven't seen it, absolutely see it. It's the new addition to the favorites of Freddy's and Jason's and Hellraisers. I think the BaBaDook is very much so in that, and I think that's even more shown if you ever see the show What We Do in the Shadows. They actually bring a BaBaDook in there twice, and for you to go a one-off creature to actually be like considered in like a mythical creature at this point, you've done it. You've created something. The BaBaDook is creepy. The BaBaDook is great. Anybody can see it. It's a really good story too about grief and depression. A lot of people say that it mimics how people feel with that level of grief and loss. And honestly, like it's great. And I think one of the kids said it best. Life is not always as it seems. That little kid did that was the magician part. Life is not always what it seems, and that's how you interpret the BaBaDook. Excellent creature. He's definitely up there. Mad love to him. Do your thing. Have me scared of a hat laying up in my room.
Wait, what is your rating? Did I miss it?
Oh, it's 3. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
3.
Thank you. Also, shout out to What We Do in the Shadows. Love that guy.
Just a reminder of what our review is. Our review is 1, I wouldn't tell anybody. 2, I'd watch it again myself. 3, I'd tell other people to come in and watch it. I'd tell the world. BaBaDook's definitely a hard 3 for me. If you haven't
seen it. And then one little asterisk to the rating that I always got to do is that my 2 is actually I'll go make one person watch this film with me again. Like I won't just watch it again. I'm gonna make someone else watch it with me. It's that good enough. And then also there is the 0 rating. Never forget that. It's like just vanilla sky me right now. I don't want anything to do with this film.
Terrible.
You know. So
the same one. How do you rate this on Scary? You don't watch Scary, so I need to know on a quick 1 to 10 how scary was this for you?
I am
on a 1 to 13 Ghost. How scary was this for you?
Oh, so you want to know? Hold on a second. I got to do remember I always do it in opposite order. So first off, let me get my review. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with a 2, and the only reason why is that I think it's a little bit more fun to talk about than actually watch.
What?
And I'm realizing that now that I've talked to you about it. I know.
What?
I would just say that it is a bit of a slow burn.
It's not even. Come on, it's not that. And
there's some like super indie film elements to it where I feel like
that's trash, man.
You got to be really. You got to roll with the punches. Like all this stuff about like grief and like, is it real? Is it not? Normal people don't think about this shit.
But if you didn't even think about that, you would still thought it was scary. If you thought the BaBaDook was a scary monster,
I do, and that's why I give it a 2. Because there is some people that I'm like, yo, you need to watch this. Like, I'm gonna watch this again because it's that good. The problem is I wouldn't tell the whole world to see this 3. And I think a good example of this is I actually watched this film with my roommate, and we discussed a little bit about it, and I hate to do it to it, but when you compare it to another film that will not be named, and I know you know what film I'm talking about, the only other great horror film that I've seen of recent times, um, it's a part of that in my mind. Though, now that we're talking about it, the creation of a villain is really cool. But in the moment, it was just a thing. Now that we've talked about it, I'm like, oh wow, they actually created like
this came out before
they've
that movie.
created a new villain. Like, oh yeah, there actually hasn't been one. Who was the last one? Jigsaw, and Jigsaw wasn't even that scary.
I hate when you say like you're comparing shit backwards. BaBaDook came out before that film, so if there's things that are in that film that you like, then you have to pay homage to the one that did it first.
I'm glad you know exactly what film I'm talking about without even saying it.
It's ridiculous.
I will not say it. I won't.
For the record, he's discussing Hereditary, but I don't like. I think this is completely different. This is about a big bad. This is a movie with a big bad, and you can't.
Exactly.
And yes, you're gonna learn, and you're gonna learn with more horror movies that is sometimes it's about the big bad. The big bad is BaBaDook. Now, if BaBaDook is grief, depression, is everything, that, and the third, it doesn't matter. Its physical manifestation is the BaBaDook.
Don't worry. We're gonna get there eventually. I'll give some horror film 3 will get there eventually. Bro. This just happens to not be still a great film.
All right.
I will watch it again. I will watch it with one other person again.
You're trash.
But to tell the whole world to watch this film,
you're trash.
I can't. I just can't do it.
And if you tell somebody to watch some indie trash film, I'm gonna throw it away because
we'll get there eventually.
The BaBaDook.
We'll get there. We're actually gonna get there in just a few minutes.
Okay. On a 1 to 13 ghost, how scary was this for you?
I say that in the moment. You said 1 to 13, and I started like thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I was like, oh my god, this
1 to 13 ghosts. Since that's your gauge, is scary. Is it scarier than 13 ghosts?
I would say that it's right below it, and only because
it's not as scary. You think 13 Ghosts is scarier?
In the moment, 13 Ghosts was scary to me.
Did someone touch you while you were watching 13 Ghosts?
Let me tell. It's because there's body horror, I would say, in 13 Ghosts. Well, I don't think there really is any body horror in this film, which honestly is a huge attribute for me because I hate body horror.
Got you, no problem. Body horror, that's what you need. Yeah, no problem. Got you.
Yeah, that works me out.
Got you, no problem. Got you.
We always talk about. We were talking about what was it? Not Europe, a Report. That other film, the
Event Horizon. There you go.
Event Horizon. Yes, there's that moment where he turns evil. That just looked really gross to me. That is like the level of body horror that I can barely stomach. So I think that in the moment, it's like right below. I think afterwards, thinking about it more, letting it like resonate, makes it scary. And I think that's a good sign that they did a great job to make it very psychological and make you think a little bit more after the film, and kind of question things and question your surroundings. So I would say after, like 2 days after, this film was definitely scarier. I think in the moment it wasn't, but now I am going to rank it scarier. So that's a little bit scarier than 13 Ghosts.
It had Rod digging it for. Never mind. We'll move on. Tony Shalhoub's a great actor,
and Scooby's in there too. No, I'm sorry, Shaggy. Not the musician. Is the term even musician for that guy?
No,
I don't even know.
Shaggy,
go ahead.
We call him performer.
Performer.
So again, apparently I love BaBaDook a lot more than him. It's fine.
What's my last question?
Your last question is what horror trope did you like in there the most?
Ooh. I already talked about 2.
Mm-hmm. You already said the book. You already said the phone call. It's fine if you want to just say the book and the phone call. We can stick with that.
The book and the phone call, like those. I think those were less about tropes and more of a like mass love to the culture before. Because I think the phone call has been happening in horror for all eternity. Right. My favorite phone call, obviously, is
Scream. I know you're gonna.
You already know. The first 10 minutes of Scream is an indie film. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. Like. It just happened to be he showed someone that he's like, oh, you should just turn it into a full film. He's like, oh, okay, I'll do it.
It's Wes Craven. I don't think that counts as an indie film at that point at all.
You know, like he shot it like one. I don't know, just possessed by some. Maybe an intern did that. I don't know.
I'm not even going to That's
Who
not
know?
an
We'll
indie
never.
film. You can't call
We
Scream an
never.
indie film.
I said the first 10 minutes. First 10 minutes.
It's not an indie film. It had one of the biggest actors of the time in it. It's
I
still considered an indie film.
Well, see, everyone always says that, but I see Drew Barrymore wasn't that big of an actor at that moment.
You are
It was
insane.
like
You're
3 years.
insane. You're
It's like 3
insane.
years later she became like
No,
a
that was at the
monstrous star.
no, that was the peak. That was like the peak
She
of
was
Drew
like
Barrymore's
she was
career.
no, I think that
Nah,
was still early in her
no,
career. It wasn't the
No, it
peak.
wasn't.
Not either here or there.
No, no.
I think the
You're
number
wrong.
2
You're
is
wrong. You're
the
not
the
right.
book because again I associate that to Evil Dead, which as you know is one of my favorites as well.
The Necronomicon.
Yeah, the Necronomicon.
Mm-hmm.
You got to say it proper. I need you to start like properly pronouncing these things. I don't want to be correcting you. And then I would say the third. I'm trying to think if there's a third one that really stuck out, so I can just answer the question.
That's cool. If those two is what it is. You think those are where it's at? You think 13 Ghosts is slightly scarier than that, depending on the day, and you know,
just slightly.
And,
Depends
and
if the lights are on or
you
off.
tell the world about 13 Ghosts, but you wouldn't tell anybody about BaBaDook. Duly noted.
I didn't say 13 Ghosts was a tell the world. That was a low one. That was a low one. For the record, 13 Ghosts is a low one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's just go with those two. Let's just stick with what comes to my mind. I'd say, especially because the phone call I think plays to the creation of the monster.
I think when I go back and edit this, I'm just gonna toss random BaBaDooks in the middle of the thing.
I think that's
in the
perfectly
background.
acceptable.
He's just gonna BaBaDook out of nowhere.
I feel that's perfectly acceptable.
The phone call is probably the best one.
And then the book just like actually I think the book was more of a trope because it like was there, it was gone, it was there, it was gone.
Right.
And then when she needed it most, it was gone.
Right.
Gone.
Right.
You know? So yeah, the book, and it was just beautiful. That book was just marvelous. Like I would put it on my bookshelf, except for the fact that the movie scared me. So I will not be putting it on my bookshelf.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. You can miss me with that. There is a real life book. You know what? I may do that. I'm just gonna randomly. I'm gonna wait like 6 months till you forget about this shit. I'm randomly gonna send it to your door.
Just an unmarked package.
Like, just wrapped with twine. It's just
like that'd be like the sickest, most fun joke to fly somewhere, drop it on someone's like pristine condition front door, walk away.
Don't give me ideas.
See what would happen. I'd be a great prankster.
I'd do it.
Hello?